On the side of women, their suffering is so much. The suffering is associated with a number of issues. One, a life of blame and isolation. Actually, our societies are fond of casting the blame on women. Even when the marriage has actually come to an end, because of the bad character of the husband. But we have put men somehow, somewhere, in a position of perfection. They are perfect. So you don't want to give this woman any opportunity to listen to her. And if you look at what we are going through these days, we know that women are in abundance and men are few as compared to women. So people will always blame the broken family, the broken marriage on a woman. Some of them even reach the extent of saying, Katyanoba alagawa, omukazi w'ennaku zino akyanoba. So in such a situation, you find out that this woman who has been divorced and she had not contracted another marriage, she is passing through that difficult life of blame, of isolation, of so on and so forth. Number two, many people in our society actually look at her as a marriage failure, especially if it is not her first time to be divorced. But who knows if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had actually decided that she's going to pass through that. The books of Islamic history have brought for us some men who are known to be always divorcing. We call them mitlaq. That for them, it is a matter of having you today and within next week you are divorced. Who knows if that woman landed to such a man? So that is also another suffering that women pass through. Women also suffer from the shame of going back to her parents' home. You know that as we are seeing you off to go to the marriage, there is that, situation whereby people are celebrating that you have gone to establish and to found your own family. So you find it so difficult after divorce that you should go to your parents' home. That is why modernity has come in to fill that gap. That majority of women who are divorced, they actually don't go back to their parents' home. Yet that is the ideal. What happens is that they happen to rent somewhere, after all they are working somewhere, rather than going back home so that they suffer that kind of shame. Not only that, but financially. You know that according to the provisions of Sharia, a woman or a wife is under the provision of a husband. Now, after divorce, you are in that period of struggling for maintenance. Who is going to pay for your monthly rent? Who is going to pay for your own sustenance and maintenance? All those are issues that a woman passed through during that period. To make matters worse, there is a section of men who are self-seekers, who happen to exploit that situation, who want to take advantage of the woman's psychological trauma and torture. Every time and again, they place themselves as Mr. Right. The moment they know that you have been divorced, first of all, they look at you as a failure, a person who is looking for means of survival. So they will place themselves somewhere to see that it is only them, you can only see hope in them. When they draw closer, they happen to promise you the world and the heavens. To make matters worse, there are also some women, by the way, who happen to be in that situation and you think that so and so is perfect, so and so is so good, not knowing that every person actually has his or her own challenges. So having seen that after divorce, there is that kind of suffering on both sides, the side of a man, the side of a woman. This is where we see the wisdom of Sharia, the hikmah of Sharia. Sharia realized this reality. The reality is there is that suffering. There is that life that you are passing through whereby things are not okay. What Sharia did is to prescribe what we call iddah, what we call a waiting period, what we call a probation period. And as we are going to look at how to utilize it, what is its purpose, it is important to know that what Sharia did was to gazette that mandatory probation period that is supposed to be observed by a woman or by a wife after dissolution of marriage by whatever means. A woman who is there listening to us or watching us needs to know that after every dissolution of marriage, by whatever means, whether you have been divorced or you are the one who has initiated the divorce, you are supposed to observe a mandatory waiting period. And to me, out of experience, I could say that most of the problems that women suffer, even in the subsequent marriages, is because they either don't observe this period legislated by Sharia, or they don't take good use of it. And that is why management of this life between divorce and contracting a new marriage is very, very significant. This kind of period can be broadly categorized into two. We have that period which is optional. It goes back to you as an individual. And then we have that one which is mandatory. When we look at the optional, what Islamic law did was to tell you that the minimum you can wait after this divorce and going into another marriage is, for instance, 3 months. But there is no any law, there is no any problem. If you can extend it at your own wish, there is no problem. If you still need more time to scrutinize some situations, to be careful about where you want to go, please take your time. Forget about what the society is going to say about you. You are about to take yet another decision. Remember that when you went into the previous marriage that did not succeed, it was a decision. So you are about to make another decision. Don't you think that you need that time? Give yourself time so that you can think deeply about the previous marriage. What really happened? What were the pros and the cons? What were the advantages and disadvantages? Where did you score highly? Where did you fail? So that by the time you take a decision that now there is Mr. A who is proposing me, there is Mr. A whom I'm interested in going into marriage with him, this is what I'm going to do in order to make the second marriage successful. Ladies and gentlemen, it is so important that we manage this time in the best way. As I have said, what Sharia did was to put there the minimum. But there is no problem if you can extend it. Don't go by those who come to you and say you have delayed, that chances are coming, that chances are going to miss you, or you are going to miss chances. Please take your time. Take your time, scrutinize and look carefully about these proposals when you feel convinced. As Allah said, فَإِذَا عَزَمْتَ فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. When you feel that now this is the right track, then put your trust in Allah subhanahu